To Donald Trump's trade tariffs now, the US president has delayed imposing a higher rate on imports to America until August 1st, but has threatened several countries with new levies. Trump says he has sent letters to 14 nations, including Japan and South Korea, saying they're facing a 25% tariff. Other trade partners are likely to have even higher numbers: Indonesia 32% and South Africa 30%. Higher tariffs were due to come into effect on Wednesday, but the White House says it wants to strike separate deals with affected countries. And Clifford Coonan is with me from DW Business. Clifford, you have reported from several Asian countries for 20 years. You really know the area and the economies of that area. So this is the second time the president has set a deadline after he postponed tariffs on almost all countries in April for 90 days. What's he trying to achieve with this?
Well, I think it's important that we take a breath here, because basically what you have here is a combination of drama and genuine negotiation. I think Donald Trump brings the drama. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who is very experienced in these areas, he's kind of bringing the real negotiations. So it's a tactic. I think that basically August 1, by pushing it to August 1, that gives them a considerable period of time to strike deals. Slowly a picture is emerging of how these deals could look. And I think it's important not to get too excited by every single move, because I think the drift is very much towards actually signing deals with a lot of these countries.
Now, apparently, Trump is currently focusing mainly on Asian countries. Why is that?
Well, Asian countries are the ones which have the most to lose in this situation, because they're the ones who have the biggest exports to the US. They're also the ones that are surrounding China. A lot of the background to this is China. Trump is very keen to close off China's using these countries for transshipping goods to get around tariffs. We saw this with the deal with Vietnam recently, where they're going to have to pay 40% tariffs on goods that are transshipped, i.e. sent through Chinese goods that go through Vietnam to other countries. So Asia is a very important region, because China's growing influence there is something that the Trump administration also wants to use tariffs to help control and to slow down the expansion of China.
Okay, so this is pushback against China as well. But what about the European Union? The EU didn't receive any letter.
Yeah, it's looking, I mean, the indications are that we could be seeing a deal coming soon with the EU. That's what a lot of people are saying. Obviously very cautiously, because as we've seen in the last few days, these things are going up and down.
Negotiations are ongoing at the moment.
They are. And again, it's this thing where you can sort of see a trend emerging. One of the things apparently in the negotiations with the EU is that they're not getting any guarantees that there won't be another U-turn on tariffs. We are now living in an age of uncertainty when it comes to trade and to global trade and tariffs. So those certainties are gone. But the indication is that certainly initially that there will be a sort of a deal of around 10% tariffs.
Now, let's just think for a moment that all these tariffs come into effect. 14 countries are affected, or would be affected by it. What kind of effect would that have on the global economy?
It could be, if they come through as they are at the moment, it would have a very serious effect. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think probably you're seeing a model developing of tariffs of about 10%, which I think the global economy can absorb. A lot of that will be passed on to the consumer. You might have some mild inflationary pressures. Prices might get a bit higher including in the US for these goods. But I think overall the economy, the global economy would have real difficulty with tariffs of up to 40% on some things, and particularly countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, which are big exporters of chips and these kind of commodities, they could be in real trouble. But I think ultimately it's not going to come out like that. I think it's going to come out a much more reasonable settlement. There's another aspect to this as well, another geopolitical aspect which we're seeing, which is the BRICS countries, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and other countries. They're also facing an extra 10% tariff. But again, that's negotiation and that's very political, and I think that's pretty much aimed at China.
Thank you very much, Clifford Coonan there, DW Business.